The screen opens on absolute darkness. A low-frequency hum vibrates just at the threshold of hearing, sounding less like a machine and more like the circulation of blood in the inner ear. A single point of white light appears in the center of the void, pulsing rhythmically. It expands slowly, revealing itself not as a star, but as a human pupil dilating in extreme close-up. The iris is a landscape of complex biological fibers, twitching with the involuntary mechanics of sight. We are watching the machinery of perception itself. Consider the precise moment of awakening, the transition from void to sensory input, the neural oscillation shifting from delta to beta waves. You trust this transition. You trust that the ceiling above your bed exists even when your eyes are closed. You trust that the floor is solid before your feet touch it. This is the fundamental contract of consciousness. We assume reality is a continuous, objective state. Its roots bleed back into the dialogues of Plato and the parables of Zhuangzi. It is the simulation argument. It begins with a premise of computational growth. In the 1970s, we played Pong, 2 rectangles and a dot bouncing on a black screen. 50 years later, we render photorealistic worlds inhabited by millions of simultaneous players. If we assume that computational power will continue to grow, even at a fraction of its current rate, we eventually reach a point where we can simulate the physics of the human brain. We create what is known as an ancestor simulation, high-fidelity history. If a post-human civilization runs these simulations, they will not run just one. They will run millions. Camera glides over a vast server farm, but the blinking lights are not LEDs. They are galaxies. Here is the statistical terror of the argument. If there is one base reality and millions of simulations, the mathematical probability that you are currently inhabiting the one true base reality is less than 1 in a billion. You are likely code. But this is not just philosophy. Physics offers evidence. When we observe the universe at the smallest possible scales, we expect to see a smooth, continuous flow of space and time. We do not. We find the Planck length. Space is granular. It is pixelated. There is a hard limit to how small a measurement can be, just as there is a limit to the resolution of a computer screen. Furthermore, quantum mechanics behaves remarkably like a video game engine optimizing its resources. In a game, the world behind the player is not rendered until they turn around to look at it. In quantum physics, a particle does not have a defined position until it is measured. The electron is not there. It is only the probability of an electron, waiting for the code to execute. The universe is rendering only what you observe. This suggests that efficient science is built into the fabric of space-time, a hallmark of designed systems, not organic ones. The obsidian cube in the white room begins to flatten. It loses its depth, collapsing into a 2-dimensional black square on the floor, yet it still projects a 3-dimensional reflection. This leads us to the second fracture, the holographic principle. This theory does not suggest we are inside a computer, but rather that we are misinterpreting the dimensions of our prison. It begins with a paradox discovered by Stephen Hawking regarding black holes. When an object falls into a black hole, its information, the unique quantum data that describes it, cannot be destroyed. This would violate the laws of physics, yet it cannot escape. So where does it go? Leonard Susskind and Gerard 't Hooft proposed a solution that breaks our intuition of space. They argued that the information is plastered onto the event horizon, the surface of the black hole, like a sticker on a soup can. The 3-dimensional object is encoded as 2-dimensional data on the surface. Visual shift to a library where all the books have been shredded, the text pasted onto the walls in a chaotic mosaic. If this rule applies to black holes, mathematics suggests it applies to the entire universe. The three-dimensional world you perceive, depth, volume, the distance between your hand and this screen, is a projection. The real data of the universe exists on a distant, two-dimensional boundary surface surrounding us. We are a hologram. You are not a solid object moving through deep space. You are a flat image, scrambled on the edge of the cosmos, projected inward to create the illusion of depth. The gravity you feel, the space you occupy, is a low-resolution rendering of a two-dimensional reality. We are shadows on the wall of a cave, convinced that the shadow has weight. The camera pushes into the eye of a needle, passing through.
Rough it into a kaleidoscopic tunnel of mirrors. Every reflection shows a different version of the viewer. Some are old, some are young, some are dead. The third theory removes the safety of death itself, the many worlds interpretation. Proposed by Hugh Everett III in 1957, it was dismissed as madness. Today, it is the preferred interpretation of many quantum physicists. It attempts to solve the measurement problem. In standard physics, a particle exists in a superposition of states. It is in two places at once, until you look at it, at which point it collapses into one position. Everett asked a dangerous question. What if the wave function never collapses? What if every time a quantum event has multiple possible outcomes, all of them happen? We see a man standing at a crossroads. He flips a coin. In standard reality, it lands heads. In Everett's reality, the universe splits. In one timeline, the coin is heads. In
another, it is tails. The universes branch apart, identical except for that one detail. Now escalate this. Every time a synapse fires in your brain, every time a photon hits a leaf, the universe splits. We are generating 10 to the power of 500 new universes every microsecond. This implies that every possible version of history exists. There is a timeline where the asteroid missed the Earth. There is a timeline where you did not make that mistake 5 years ago. And then there is the darkest implication, quantum immortality. A visual of a revolver with a single bullet. The cylinder spins. Imagine a physicist sitting in a box with a mechanism that has a 50% chance of killing them instantly based on a quantum decay event. In the timelines where the device activates, the physicist dies. Consciousness ends. But in the timelines where it does not activate, the physicist survives. From the first-person perspective of the physicist, they can never experience the timeline where they died. They will only ever experience the branches of reality where they survive. To the observer, they die. To themselves, they are trapped in a continuously branching tunnel of survival. You may have already died dozens of times in branches you have left behind. You remember the near-miss car accident. You remember the sudden illness that faded. In another branch, those were terminal. In this one, you are the anomaly that persists. The white room dissolves. The obsidian cube, the flat square, the mirrors, all shatter into dust. We return to the extreme close-up of the human pupil. These three theories, simulation, holography, many worlds, share a terrifying commonality. They all demote the human observer from a participant in a solid reality to a processing node in a sea of abstract information. Whether you are code executing in a server, a D-projection believing it has depth, a ray of consciousness surfing the crest of infinite quantum fractures, the conclusion is the same. The world is not made of atoms. It is made of information, and you are the interface. The solidity of the chair you sit in is a lie told by your nerves. The continuity of time is a trick played by your memory. The pupil on screen constricts rapidly.